Welcome to the preview of Entrenched Gallia Guards. Today you will step into the shoes of a commander during the First World War, and you have to take over the opposing trenches to earn glory on the battlefield. But your opponent has the exact same orders and is going to prevent you from doing that and make sure that its own plan will come through. You have to outwit and outmaneuver your opponent to make sure that you become glorious on the battlefield and be the victor at the end. You do this by the initial setup. So over here we have the initial setup with the trenches laying from 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3. And you place your starting units, which is number 2, 3 and 4. 2 riflemen and 1 sentry. The rifleman you place on your respective number 3. The sentry you place in defensive position on the number 2. Then we create the order deck, which consists of number 1, number 2, number 3 and number 4. You get the order deck and you shuffle them. Outside of that, you have also different units within your reinforcement deck. You have to choose your units wisely to begin with. Every unit of every number, there are 2 units available. For example, I'm grabbing the armored units right now, which is always number 15. You have 2 of them, you have the rapier and you have the saber. For example, in this example, I picked the rapier because I would like to move forward fast, and it can highly change your playing style. Then you have, on the other side, your other orders, for example, order 6, 9 or 15, and the 2 officer cards, which are the captain and, my apologies, I put it slightly higher, and the lieutenant. You put these cards towards the sides. As mentioned before, this is a deck building game. So, this is the initial setup that we have. Over here, the starting player, for example, that would be me. I draw 3 cards. Currently I have the number 3, I have the number 2 card, and I have the number 1 card. With the number 2 card, I can give an order to one of my number 2 units. For example, over here, the rifleman. What can I do with the rifleman? I can move it 1 forward. This is the move action. If it was, for example, over here, I could do the attack action. Every unit has a range and a number behind it. For example, it has range 0 on 5 and range 1 on 6. This means range 0 is being on the same row as the opponent. If my unit was over here, I could attack the sentry with a 5. I could also attack 1 row further, which would be a range 1 attack, but then with a 6. If I currently would attack the sentry, that means that I would roll the dice, see if it's a 5 or higher. If it's a 5 or higher, I would destroy that unit. Although in this case, to come to another order, is the fend order right after that. The sentry is in defensive position, which means that the dice has to be increased by 1. Which means I have to roll a 6 instead of a 5 or a 6, which decreases my chances by half to actually destroy the sentry. Luckily for me, on the other hand, is that my rifleman has the ability that once it's in opposing territory and it's attacking on opposing territory, that you decrease the dice roll by 1. So luckily I can still throw a 5 or a 6 and destroy, hopefully, the sentry. Of course, the round afterwards, it's very high chance that the sentry would attack me back if I do not succeed. The sentry, for example, has an ability that it's impassable to opposing infantry. Currently, my rifleman is unable to pass. Each unit in this game has different kinds of abilities, and you have to make sure that you use these abilities as much as possible to make sure that you can break through the opposing lines and make sure that you can get your points for your units. Currently, I get 2 points for my rifleman being on this row. If my rifleman would be destroyed or be killed afterwards, we put it over here on the side. You still get the points for it because glory is everlasting on the battlefield, and you still gain your 2 glory out of it. The goal of the game is to gain 9 glory in total. Last but not least, you also have over here the number 1 card. The number 1 card, with the number 1 card you can use this as a medic card, or you can perform an action with any of your units. Currently my rifleman is over here. I think I could reuse my rifleman very well, and I can put it back in the reinforcement deck, so I could use this. The only issue is I would still lose then my 2 glory because my rifleman is not on that location anymore. So currently I don't think this probably would be the best idea. 2 points for my rifleman is probably not a bad idea. Nevertheless, as last but not least is the deploy action. The deploy action at the bottom is that you count the numbers in total. So over here I have a number 1, a number 3 and a number 2, which means I can get my numbers, I can reinforce a number 6. Over here I have, for example, the gunner. I reinforce the gunner over here on the side. I have used all my cards now, because every card you can only do one action with. I place them over here on the discard pile, and outside of that I also get the number 6 out of my order deck and place it here in the discard pile so I can use it on my gunner. Next, I have one card over here. I redraw to 3 cards. I shuffle my discard pile and add 2 more cards. Currently my card numbers are 4, 3 and 1 for the next round. This keeps continuing. You'll keep improving your deck and the cards that you have in your deck to make sure that you can push through towards the lines, that you have the right units at the right spot at the right time to make sure you have the final push. Some things to take into consideration is that when you go on the offensive, make sure that your offensive will work, because very likely your opponent could do counter-offensive afterwards, and that could possibly destroy everything that you have. So you have to be very wary on what you're going to do if you think you have enough firepower to push through. Last but not least, you also have the armored units, which I mentioned prior. So for example, over here I have the rapier. The rapier is a quite strong card. Armored units cannot be attacked by infantry units, which are most of the cards that you have within your deck. There is only one exception, and I'm trying to look for it. This is the number 10 card. That is the elite infantry card. Currently I have over here the grenadier. The grenadier can attack armored units, and armored units can also attack armored units. In general, they are strong cards to have. They are also expensive. The main issue with the cards is, if they are destroyed, they will get glory, but they cannot be revived through the meta card. Only infantry units can be revived through the meta card. This dance continues until one has achieved 9 glory in total. And make sure also that, of course, you don't withdraw your cards too early with the meta card. Once you have done that, you are the winner of the game, and the game ends immediately the moment that you have reached 9 points.